Okay, so get this. The nuclear renaissance. A look into the energy-charged future. You sent this article,
Yeah.
and wow, it paints a pretty bold vision for the future of nuclear power.
It does. It really does. And what I find so fascinating is how this potential resurgence
Okay.
is really like intertwined with all these massive global trends.
Right.
Climate change,
Yeah.
the explosion of data and digitalization, even geopolitical maneuvering, like it's all connected.
Right. It's like this article is pulling back the curtain on this whole energy landscape that, like, I don't know, I never really thought about, but it makes you wonder, is this nuclear renaissance hype or is this like a genuine shift?
Right. Well, let's unpack that.
Great.
One of the things that really struck me about this article is its emphasis on new technology.
Okay.
This isn't your grandparents' nuclear power.
Yeah.
You know,
Right. Yeah. The article talks about small modular reactors, SMRs, which honestly sound too good to be true.
yeah.
Smaller, more flexible, potentially cheaper to build. Are these actually going to be a thing?
They very well could be, and this is key. The technology is evolving to address some of those concerns that people have had about nuclear power in the past.
Right.
We're talking about companies like NuScale Power Corporation, who are all in on SMRs, and they're attracting serious attention.
And speaking of serious attention, this is where I think it gets really interesting for me, at least. The article talks about Constellation Energy securing this 20-year deal with Microsoft to power data centers with nuclear energy Microsoft. Like, that's not just some pilot program, that's a statement.
It is. It signals a huge shift in how big tech is thinking about their energy needs.
Right.
These companies need power 24/7, and they're increasingly looking beyond those traditional sources to get it.
Yeah.
And it's not just Microsoft, by the way. Oracle is also exploring nuclear options for its data centers as well.
So it's almost like this perfect storm brewing, right? You have this demand for clean energy, this new wave of potentially safer, more efficient reactor technology, and now you've got these tech giants with deep pockets backing it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the article even takes it a step further by suggesting that the race to the Arctic and even space exploration could add fuel to this nuclear resurgence.
Wait, seriously? So,
Yeah.
like, I need to invest in spacesuits now?
Hold off on the spacesuit shopping for now.
Okay.
But think about it.
Yeah.
Ventures in those extreme environments require massive amounts of reliable power.
Yeah.
Traditional energy sources might not be feasible. Nuclear, especially with the rise of these smaller, more adaptable SMRs, could be the only viable option.
Okay. So we've got Microsoft data centers in Iowa and nuclear reactors powering lunar bases. This is getting wild.
It is pretty amazing.
But what does this mean for the average person? Should we be worried about meltdowns or, like, stockpiling iodine tablets?
Definitely not. The article highlights some publicly traded companies that are poised to capitalize on this potential nuclear resurgence.
Okay.
And that's something everyone can wrap their heads around.
Oh, right. Constellation Energy and Vistra were two of the names mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Both involved in expanding and modernizing existing nuclear infrastructure. So not just pie-in-the-sky future stuff.
Absolutely. Constellation Energy, with their focus on zero-emission nuclear energy, is definitely one to watch. They're not just talking about the future, they're building it.
Right.
And then there's Vistra.
Yeah.
They're taking this two-pronged approach, modernizing existing nuclear plants while also exploring new technologies like those SMRs.
Okay.
So they're hedging their bets and pushing the industry forward at the same time.
That makes sense. It's like a best of both worlds strategy.
Exactly.
But there was another company mentioned earlier, NuScale Power Corporation,
Right.
the SMR pioneers. They seem to be leading the pack in terms of this new wave of technology.
They are. NuScale is developing small modular reactors that are designed for simplicity and safety, which could be game changers, especially when it comes to public perception.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From like massive data centers to potential lunar bases powered by nuclear reactors. It's a lot to process.
It is.
What's like the main takeaway for our listener? What does this all really mean?
I think what we're seeing is almost like a fundamental shift in how we think about energy.
Okay.
You know, for decades, the conversation has been all about moving away from fossil fuels and towards renewables,
Right.
like solar and wind.
Right.
But now nuclear is like forcing its way back into the conversation, and it's really changing the game.
So instead of this clean energy showdown, renewables versus nuclear, it's more nuanced than that.
Exactly. It's not this like zero-sum game.
Okay.
What this article highlights is that the future of energy is going to be much more diverse and adaptable,
Okay.
with different sources playing different roles depending on the need. It's about finding the right tool for the job.
So it's less about replacing everything with solar panels and wind turbines and more about creating this mix of energy sources that can work together.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Take data centers, for example.
Yeah.
Renewables are fantastic for reducing carbon emissions,
Right.
but they're intermittent.
Right. The sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow.
Exactly. Data centers need that constant always-on power supply.
Yeah.
And nuclear can really provide that baseload energy,
Right.
ensuring that there's a reliable flow of electricity,
Yeah.
even when the wind stops or the sun goes down.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like having a backup generator even if you have solar panels on your roof.
Right.
You need that guarantee of power when you need it most.
Exactly.
But let's talk about public perception for a second, though.
Okay.
Nuclear power has a little bit of an image problem, right?
It does.
Can it really shake off its past?
That's the big question, and it's something the article touches on,
Yeah.
particularly with these new SMRs.
Mm.
Because they're smaller and they're designed with all these advanced safety features.
Right.
The hope is that they'll be seen as less risky than traditional nuclear plants.
Yeah. It's like anything else. New technology often comes with this learning curve, not just for the people building it, but for the public that's trying to understand it.
Right.
So do you think that's the key here? Better education and transparency around these advancements?
Absolutely. The more people understand about the technology, the safety protocols, the potential benefits, the more likely they are to accept it.
Yeah.
And when you really consider the urgency of climate change and the need for clean, reliable energy,
Right.
nuclear power really does start to look like a much more viable option.
Okay, so we're talking about a potential nuclear comeback.
Yeah.
But not in the way people might traditionally think about it. It's not about building these giant, imposing power plants.
Yeah.
It's about targeted solutions, technological advancements,
Right.
and really addressing these very specific energy needs of the future.
Exactly.
From powering massive data centers to, who knows, maybe even supporting a lunar base someday.
Exactly. And it's not about nuclear power replacing everything else.
Right.
It's about finding its place in a more diverse and resilient energy mix.
Right.
The future is not about one single source of energy. It's about harnessing the strengths of all of them.
This has been eye-opening.
It really is fascinating.
But before we wrap up, there's one more company the article mentioned that I don't think we've gotten to yet, Cameco.
Right.
They're not directly involved in, like, building reactors, right?
You're right. Cameco is a uranium producer,
Okay.
and they represent a critical piece of the nuclear puzzle.
Okay.
They supply the fuel that powers these reactors.
Right.
And as demand for nuclear energy grows,
Yeah.
so too will the demand for uranium.
So we've gone from Microsoft data centers to, like, the potential of lunar bases powered by nuclear reactors,
Right.
all fueled by companies like Cameco providing the uranium to make it happen. It's a lot to take in.
It really is. And you know what's remarkable is we've only just scratched the surface here
Right.
of what's happening in the nuclear energy sector. It's
Yeah.
this rapidly evolving landscape full of potential and, of course, challenges.
Okay, so for our listener who's been on this deep dive with us, what's the key takeaway? What's the one thing we want them to walk away thinking about?
I think it's this. The future of energy isn't about picking one source and calling it a day.
Right.
It's about recognizing that every energy source has its own strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
And the real innovation comes from figuring out how to combine them
Yeah.
in a way that actually meets our needs both now and in the future.
So it's about embracing this idea of a diverse energy mix.
Exactly.
A bit of this, a bit of that, to create a more resilient and sustainable energy future.
Precisely.
Wow.
And nuclear energy, despite, its controversial past,
Right.
has a real shot at becoming a key player in this new energy landscape.
Yeah.
The technology is advancing, the demand is growing, and the need for clean, reliable energy has never been more apparent.
This whole conversation has honestly been a real eye-opener for me. I feel like I went from nuclear power, really, to, okay, I get it. This could be huge in the span of like 20 minutes.
That's the power of a good deep dive.
I guess so.
It challenges our assumptions. It
Yeah.
pushes us to think differently.
Right.
And ultimately, it helps us all make more informed decisions about the future that we want to create.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So for our listener out there, we hope this deep dive has given you a new perspective on nuclear energy, its potential, and its place in our ever-evolving energy future. And hey, maybe, just maybe, it sparked your curiosity to go out and learn even more. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.